Greetings, everybody. This is Harmony speaking. I made a video the other day. It's supposed to be titled How to Fix This Place, but for some odd reason that I can't explain, YouTube titled the video the November 20th, 2025, which is the date that I made the video. Really bizarre. I've made hundreds of videos, and that's never happened before, so I don't have an explanation as to how that happened. I can go all conspiracy theory on it, and the company changed the title so people wouldn't click on it and watch it because they probably just didn't want people to hear about that kind of stuff. If I want to go all conspiracy theory, but I'm not going to do that. Anyway, some people made some comments in the video. Well, I guess one person that made me think that what I was discussing in that video, I was basically talking about a couple ways to fix a place is to shut down the 9th and the 10th dimension, because this place was never designed to have more than 8 dimensions, meaning the physical universe. General relativity today has 10 dimensions, and quantum physics has 10 dimensions each, and they're separated, as we know, according to this is mainstream physics, that there's 10 dimensions, and they're trying to find the origin point to unify or connect the two fields of physics. General relativity, everything large; quantum physics, everything small. But they came up with this 11th dimensional theory that outside the 10 dimensions, there's this 11th dimension where everything is the origin point, and where everything flows through is the origin of all the four forces. The four forces explain everything in existence that we know of: strong nuclear force, weak nuclear force, electromagnetic, and what they call it gravity. But who knows about gravity? No one seems to understand what gravity is. A lot of people think it's really buoyancy. Who knows? But anyway, so when I was talking about shutting down the 8th and 9th dimension, a comment indicated that I was talking about like killing things. No. I'm not talking about killing anything. If you know me, I'm very against killing. So I'm not into the killing. I guess there is a point where it's justified and necessary, but I'm not there yet. Sorta. Well, there's some. Anyway, let's stick to the main point, not get off on segues. So what I'm talking about is the way this place was designed. It was, the two fields of physics was supposed to have 8 dimensions each. Center universe, which unifies everything, has 26 dimensions. It's in my paper. I posted a link to my paper so you could read it. It was copyrighted back in 1999, and then it was published as part of Stasha Erickson's, is the author of the book, The Mandela Effect, Everything's Changing, which is a bestseller for quite a while in that genre. And then, because I don't know why, but they classify Mandela Effect in the field of physics, which is really interesting. So in the field of physics, it's still, that book today ranks number 35 out of thousands and thousands of books. So it's still up there. Anyway, excuse me, my voice is a little hoarse. Anyway, so because this place was never designed to have 9th or 10th dimensions, and the only way that you can create is you have to be outside the 10 dimensions to create inside the physical universe. So, and when you're inside the physical universe, you can't create anything. You can rearrange things and give the appearance of creating things, but you're really not creating, you're just rearranging. Just like humans can clone, we clone that sheep, you could call that creating, but they didn't really create, they just rearranged things. So, in essence, in other words, there is no 9th and 10th dimensional beings that were created. So there are no 9th and 10th dimensional beings. And so when you shut the 9th and 10th dimension down, you're not killing anything because nothing lives there. There's no beings that live in that dimension. What it is they're in the, let's say they could be even at the 6th dimension, but have access to the 9th dimension. And then when you have access to the 9th, you can do things that you normally can't do, and that's why this place is so messed up. It's some people even call it cheating. They cheated. They learned how to siphon off energy extremely advanced beings. Kudos to them, super advanced to be able to do that. The technology is beyond human comprehension, in my opinion, but they did it. So, by shutting down the ninth invention, there's probably some better examples, but let me give you an example that I can think of, a metaphor, parable, whatever you want to call it. So let's say the ninth invention, they used technology. There's nothing spiritual about it. They didn't use their powers or whatever. They used actual physical technology to do this. So for this example, let's say on Earth, human beings use technology to fly. We're not designed to fly, but we've learned to manipulate and use, machines and whatnot, and rockets and et cetera, to fly. But so in this example, all the technology used to make anything go into the air and fly, when you shut down the ninth being, in this example, you're shutting down the technology, so now nothing man-made can fly. So in this example, if nothing could fly, well, overnight we solved the problem of like a nuclear war happening by missile attack, by airplanes flying, dropping bombs, because missiles can't fly anymore. Airplanes can't fly to drop the bombs. Also, well, let's just go as far as, bullets firing from a gun. That's technology for something to go through the fly through the air, in essence. So then now guns don't work. Not even a bow and arrow would work, because a bow is, in this example, is a technology used to make the arrow fly through the air. And so since that technology would be shut down, not even a bow and arrow would work, not even a catapult. So all the technology used to make something fly through the air no longer works. It's still there, it's not destroyed. It's just now you have an airplane sitting on the ground and can't fly. You have a bow, it can't shoot the air in the air. So we're not destroying anything, we're just shutting down the technology. So the technology would no longer work. And in this example, it would, unless, let's say bombs, we have nuclear weapons, but you got to move it by land, put it somewhere and then blow it up. I guess so you could still, technically have nuclear weapons in this example, but you wouldn't be able to shoot a missile or drop it from an airplane. So I'm not talking about killing anything. And then the other example I was talking about, the other solution we could do is just blast this place through with positive energy. Well, I'm still really not talking in essence about killing anything. It's kind of like let's just say in this example, there's positive energy and negative energy. We're not saying good or bad, there's just some energy is positive, some's negative, okay? And so when you blast the energy through, you blast the energy through so that negative energy no longer exists. There's only positive energy. So the negative now becomes positive. It's not being killed, it's being converted into positive energy. So even in that example, nothing's being killed. However, to those beings, they feel like they are being killed. Kind of like this. Think of it, you're a benevolent being, you're, kumbaya, wonderful, and then all of a sudden, an energy comes through and now you're negative and you're an evil being and you do evil things. To you, that would be like death, because as a positive, benevolent, wonderful being, you don't want to be negative and do bad things. Well, in your opinion, negative things. You don't want to go around killing people. So to you, that would be death. But you still wouldn't be dead. You're just now a negative being, running around killing people and causing havoc and mayhem and destroying people's lives and destroying stuff. And that's what you are. You're a destroyer. And, you just ruin everything in lives and you lie and you're just this nasty being. And for you, that would be death. But you're still alive. You're just converted. Same thing. So these nasty beings are just converted instantaneously into benevolent beings, and now they're not going to cause any more problems. But again, that is death to them. The reason I know this is because there are these beings. People refer to them as demons, but I don't really call them demons. They might be, who knows. But anyway, they're basically about 2 feet tall. They have, when you see them, they look like they have a normal body for a 2 foot tall being. That is a human 2 legs, arms, So, and they look like they have a normal body for a 2 foot tall being. But their heads, they have the heads of someone who's actually, like, let's say 5 feet tall. So, they have the heads of a normal being. So that's what they look like. The best I've ever seen them, and I don't know what their true form is, but to me they've appeared kind of like in the movies they show a ghost, how they're kind of silhouette, but you can't really see through them, but they look silhouette and kind of was a grayish silverish kind of color, and that's when I see them, that's how they appear. And these folks are the jokesters. I call them jokesters, what I call them. They're the ones that they'll trip you, cause you to fall down. They'll knock things over, make you appear clumsy. They will hide your keys from you. They're the ones who tangle up all the cords in your house. They're jokesters. The problem is that these folks are also the ones that work with what I call the company. And so they cause havoc and chaos in people's lives. And they work for the company, and they do it to create negative energy, because the company, they're the company, they're not human. But then they don't walk amongst us that I know of, but they do have what I call them operatives. One day the guy joked, and I've met these people in person, I've talked to them, that's why I know so much. And one day one of them said, hey, we're not operatives, we're cooperatives. But I later learned that they're actually, more correct word is they're volunteers, because they volunteer to do this crap, so. And these people work for the company, and so these, what you call demons, or I call them the jokesters, and there's different folks that work to cause havoc and chaos in people's lives, because then it creates a negative energy, and the company siphons this negative energy, and it's food for them. It's just food. It's like human beings, how they kill a cow and eat a cow, and that's all it is to them. It's not like, when you go to a restaurant, you order a nice steak. You're not mad at the cow. You don't hate the cow. You just enjoy, it's just food, and you enjoy eating the cow, or it's a steak on your plate, but but you don't hate the cow. The cowboys, that do the wrangling, and then the horses and all that, they don't hate the cows. The people that kill the cows, they don't hate cows. Maybe they do, but I don't think they do. It's not like they hate the cows. It's just the cows are a food source. And I don't know if they really hate us. Maybe they do. I think some of them hate us, actually. But and let's just keep the high levels going here. We're just food to them, and that's all it is. And then the operatives, the cooperatives, the volunteers. The reason they do it is because then the company converts this negative energy into lack of better words, a drug. And I didn't ask for it. They were in the apartment above me and shot the energy through the floor into my apartment, and I got to experience this. And lack of better words, you take every drug ever known and the best qualities of that drug, combine it into one drug, and it's not like true source, God, creator, energy, euphoria, so I'm not going there, but for something that's like created, it is the most incredible euphoric drug you will ever experience in your whole life. It's fucking amazing. And when I told them, when I experienced this, I immediately realized, I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is around the 6th dimensional, I can tell that I could see everything, how it's created. I was like, they're telling you, let's just say, they're saying that they convert the energy, and they're telling you that it's only 1 pound. And then from the 1 pound, they give you 10% of the pound, and that's their take on it, and they keep the 90%. And they're okay with just getting 10%. But I told them they're lying to you. They're really getting 100 pounds. 100 pounds, and they're telling you it's 1 pound, and you're getting 10% of 1 pound when you should be getting 10% of the 100 pounds. And they're lying to you. And I also said, you know what, you're not only lying, I can do this. And I created a little station outside my house where I pulled in true source God created energy. I had a conversion station where I converted it into the energy they like, and I gave it to them for free. And the company flipped out because now the company doesn't have. When I converted it, I didn't give the company likes the fear aspect to it. These operatives, cooperatives, volunteers, they like the drug aspect to it, and I just converted it so they have their drug. I didn't convert it into the fear energy, and I don't even know if I could create a mass amount of fear energy, and I don't even know if I would, because then it'd make these folks even stronger. But anyway, I created the drug form. So the problem was that now that these operatives, cooperatives, volunteers, now they didn't need the company because they just go get it for free. So they wouldn't work for them anymore, and they stopped working for them, pissed them off. So they shut down that little station. So they wouldn't have their drug anymore, and they'd have to go to them for their drug. And then I kind of left it alone, and I haven't done anything with it again. Don't know if I will. So now that's something I have to think about. I don't know. It gets complicated, and I'm just so tired of this crap, to be honest. So tired of dealing with this stuff. Just want it to be over. Sick of it. Blah blah blah. Now the other reason I know that these beings would all of a sudden become positive, it's considered death to them, is because one day these little demon guys, I call them the jokesters, about 15 of them, carried in this being into my home. As crazy as it sounds, it's real. I've met several different alien species in person. Yes, it's true. Anyway, they sat him down on my couch, and this guy, as time is measured on Earth, was 1 million years old, as time is measured on Earth. And he's dying. And the reason he's dying is because his life form couldn't exist anymore in that negative state. It was wiped out. It couldn't exist anymore, taking in negative energy. It was dying, and he probably is, or it. I would refer to as a male, but whatever it was. It is, I'm sure, dead now, but who knows, could still be alive and still dying. I don't know how long he had to live. But, so he says, they sit him down on my couch, and he's like, save me, cure me. I said, well, I can, but I had forgotten that I, know how to do the negative energy and convert energy, and I forgot about that. All I could think about at the moment, because, we're talking about a moment in time. Hindsight's everything. And I said to the guy, if I did that, I only know positive energy. I can throw a bunch of positive energy, and you'd be saved, and you could go on and live another whatever million years. But you're going to be a positive being. And he's like, well, that would be death to me, and that's how I know it's considered death to them. He's like, that would be death to me. I don't want to be a positive being. I'd rather die. And then the little demons, jokesters, they picked him up and carried him out of my house. Whole thing lasted, I don't know, 10 minutes at the most, maybe 5 minutes. It wasn't very long. So that's how I know it's considered death to them. And I to be honest, if I'm a positive being, and I'm a negative being, I'd probably choose death over being a negative being too. I get it. I understand. So anyway, just want to clarify that at this time, I'm not talking about killing anything, although there's a lot of folks that I would like to just, poof out of existence, like these little demon guys, the operatives, the cooperatives, that entire species. There's some folks in the Norma, the Norma region of our Milky Way galaxy. I'm not really happy those people, they can go. There's this other species that looks like Jabba the Hutt, but shorter, and I don't think he had a tail. Those folks can, be poofed out of existence. There's a lot of species that, that I would, at this time, I would do everything in my power to make sure they no longer exist and poof them out of existence. Their entire species, which they complain about, because they're like, hey, we're not all the same. There's some innocence and yada yada. And I'm like, well, then come to me and explain to me the situation, and let's make friends. And explain your situation to me. and so I can pinpoint who to eliminate out of existence and who to save. Or maybe we can talk about how you can modify things so you're not jacking up the universe and throwing out all this negative energy. Let's talk. No, no one, not one to this day, of all the species I've contacted, which are many, have ever said, hey, let's sit down and talk. Nope, nope, they're not interested. That's why I call them the fumes. F you, make me. Because that's how they are. They're like, F you, make me. We're going to keep doing what we do until someone makes us stop. And I'm like, okay, I'm that guy. I'm going to make you stop, and I'm going to poof your entire species out of existence so you don't. So not only do you not exist, it'll be as if you never existed. So have fun with that. And that's where we're at. They don't care. They're thugs. They're just thugs. They're gangsters. They're thugs. They're scum of the universe. They're the most disgusting beings that have ever existed, and they should have never existed. And the day will come where they no longer exist. And they've had their warning. I think I've given this warning before publicly on this channel, and now it's been done again. So there you go. I've met their rules of engagement. Their rules are, you have to tell us. You have to announce ahead of time what you're going to do. And if you do, then you're okay to do it. Crazy rule they have. They have all these made up rules that don't make any freaking sense. They're just made up rules. But anyway. I think I digressed. Anyway, well, until next time, everybody. I hope you're all doing well out there. God bless, peace, and be well.